We're going to look at Exeter, and I'm delighted to be joined on the line by Phil Bialyk, leader of Exeter City Council. How are you, Phil?
I'm fine, thank you.
Brilliant. Are you quarantined away at home?
Yes. I quarantined up in my little room, back bedroom, with all my IT equipment, working from home. But
Lovely.
yeah, I'll be let out later on.
Let out for your evening walk. I like the sound of that, Phil.
Absolutely.
So, like for the rest of us, 3 weeks ago feels like an absolute lifetime. It sort of feels like we've all entirely adapted as a species to the current situation. But how did you guys at Exeter City Council first respond to this crisis?
Well, we've been preparing for some time, marginally before, because all the indicators were there. And we're obviously working with the Team Devon, the County Council, and also government. And our particular request by central government was to what they call the last mile. And this is working with community groups and people to deliver that last mile for vulnerable people, the shielded group, and also other communities in Exeter. And we've established a very good, together with Exeter Wellbeing, a very good hub with one central number that people can call, which is Exeter 265,000. That's Exeter 265,000. If you want to help, or more importantly, if you need help, you contact that number.
That's brilliant. So included within that then, Phil, what kind of services are available to people?
Well, it's quite a lot, a myriad, and I don't mean that in a funny way, but we've got something like 35 community groups. We've set aside £1 million worth of community funding, a big chunk of our budget. We decided to do that. It was, if there's ever a time to spend money, it's metaphorically raining out there, so we're spending the money now. We set aside £1 million for community groups. We've had 35 community groups apply to us for various streams of funding. That's anything from £3,000 to £3,000. That's 35 groups in Exeter, totaling nearly £60,000 that we've already allocated funding. This is small groups, whether it's people in the St Thomas area, free movement, who are cycling around with carts on the back, delivering meals, and making sure that people are getting their prescriptions. Other community groups doing just the same, going around, working with the Exeter Chiefs Trust, working with the Exeter City Football Club Trust, working with all these community groups in trying to deliver that last mile for people at home who can't get out in that shielded group, or people who need help.
That's great. I mean, it's wonderful to hear that all of these community groups and kind of larger scale organisations are banding together with you. But I suppose that, as there are in all communities, there are certain vulnerable members of society who maybe still aren't receiving some help. Have there been any challenges in getting the support to certain people?
Well, yes. A very good friend of mine who lives on the outside of Exeter. I went for a bit of a cycle ride as part of my statutory one a day sort of. And I saw him in his garden from a socially distance, shouted out to him, how was he? He was okay. Neighbours were doing something. He's a bit old and a bit frail. Neighbours were doing some of the shopping for him, and it's getting that message across. We've leafleted most households, if not all households in Exeter. We're going to do something again with our information. We're trying to keep it all through one centralised place, that it's secure and safe. So when you contact us and somebody comes around to give you some help, to do that shopping, to collect that prescription, they're all CRB checked. They are absolutely, totally there with the authority of the Exeter City Council, because unfortunately, this does bring out the best in us. But unfortunately, there's one or two worst in us, and we've had a few scams already, and we've got to make sure that people who knock vulnerable people's door are those people who are accredited to be there.
Definitely. And we'll reiterate that number in just a second, Phil. But in terms of any extra things people can do to help make a difference to you, to the wider community, is there anything else that people can be doing?
I don't want to sound boring, but we have to stay at home and stay safe. It is
Yeah.
working. I mean, something like the scale of increase in the country is 4 to 5 days. Well, here in the Devon area, it's something 8 to 9 days of the level of the increase. It's very, very reassuring that we are doing our bit, but it's so easy. It's a bit like, we're coming round that bend and we're seeing the tape in this long distance run. We've ran a long way already. We can't stop now. We've just got to make it to the line and to be there. I'm as frustrated. I love my sport. I love cycling. I love also, if I can say it, and I love going to the pub. I can see the pub from my window. And can you imagine sat in my office seeing the pub?
Your
And
heart's
I'll give a
aching for it,
mention to the
Phil.
to the Cowick Barton. And I would have loved to have been out there tonight, having a soft drink, of course, soaking up the sun. But there's going to be time for that, and I've just got to hang back because we've got to do this together, and the prize will be great when we get there.
100%. And could I just get you to clarify one thing you said there, Phil, about the 8 to 9 day situation? Exactly what that kind of means for the area?
Well, as you know, we're hoping that we're levelling out. We're not quite there as a nation yet. The southwest, if you look at the numbers that have been coming out for the southwest, we're a bit behind national. That's good because we're behaving ourselves quite rightly too, um, with social distancing and staying at home and staying safe. And we've got to get that curve. We've got to break that curve to make sure our hospitals can cope with anything. We've got to allow the scientists to deal with. I mean, I look and read with interest on all what they talk about vaccines and antibodies and all this sort of stuff. Really never understood it before, but we're all becoming slight sort of experts. Pub quizzes will be full of all this when we get back, and it will be fantastic. But we've just got to crack on and do it. We can. We've got. Look, I'm going to say it. We've got to take the government advice at this time, and hopefully that when we get to a stage, whenever that stage is, we can do something. I can tell you now, also within my directors here at Exeter, we are also thinking. You can't make plans because we just don't know how it's going to end up. But we're thinking about recovery. We want to take the city and our county forward. We want to be there at the start. Life is going to look so much different.
Mm.
To us, it's like somebody who's sort of gone up into space for a month and come back. It's going to be a different world. We've got to, all of us, we've got to hope and pray that it's going to be a better world.
Absolutely agreed. And I think that'll be really reassuring for everyone from Exeter to hear. Phil Bialyk, leader of Exeter City Council. Could I just get you to reiterate that centralised number once again, Phil?
It's 01392 and it's 265,000.
Wonderful. And that's for
And it's
anyone...
opened all the time, 7 days a week.
Brilliant. And that's for anyone in need of help or anyone who can provide it, isn't it, Phil?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Phil Bialyk, leader of Exeter City Council.